Jay Runer here today, and we're in the E Class. I don't really mess with the E Class. I just decided, well, why don't I take a car that's naturally in the E Class and don't put it further above its class and race it and see what happens. I first started out on this adventure with a Bugatti, their little race car. Apparently, it's illegal to play online. But so I decided to go with this Miata here, and we're on Magello, my favorite track of all time, and on the takeoff. Now, there's a lot of things that I learned while playing in the E class. A lot of people don't play it, and it's all about keeping your momentum. See, the guy who's up front, me and him had really good races, and I have another race after this one to show. Just show how close our races actually were. But seems like most of the people that were down in this class didn't really know what they were doing, or they just didn't build a car right for the class. I don't know. I'm not going to say I built the right car. I just know I had a buttload of handling compared to everybody else. Some pretty good acceleration, all right top end. The brakes were pretty good in this Miata, which I'm a fan of the Miata and Mazda in general. But yeah, I just decided, well, let's give it a shot and see what happens. And I'm not sure what car that was, but going way too wide and definitely losing traction. So it seems like you either go with all handling or you go with all acceleration in the E class. Either way, keeping your momentum is like the key to winning these races. Because if you screw up one time, that's it. That's kind of it for you. So this guy has a straight line on me, but I have every corner on him. As you'll see as we get side by side here, he's going to pull away, and he had like a 6.7 acceleration, but a 4.0 handling. So you had two extremes going on. Coming into the last few corners here, this is where pretty much me and this guy Spawn's child is just battling. I mean, we had some good races too, because we'd be going back and forth, back and forth. He'd get on the straight, he'd pull away from me. We'd get in the corners, I pull away from him, and then towards like the finish lines, a lot of times we were like neck and neck. But there's like a funny little lag spike right there. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, I don't know if it jetted me back because I was way closer to him than where he was. So I'm guessing I lag spiked or somebody did. Either way, we're still continuing the race. Every race, it seemed to be me and this guy up front, nobody else. Either he would win in dominant fashion or I'd win in dominant fashion. But here we are on this straightaway, and you start to see this guy's acceleration. I had more top end than he did, but his acceleration was much higher than mine. Like I said, his was about a 6.7. It was one whole point higher than mine. So you see where that acceleration really helps out. But the top end, he didn't really have much of that. And then when we get into this first corner, I made up all that space that he created, so made for really good racing. I'm not even sure what's considered good E-class stats, in all honesty. But coming into these corners here, just keeping pressure on him, trying to stay on top of him, so when he does make that mistake, I can get around him. That's pretty much what my racing strategy was. Wait for them to make a mistake, get in front of them, and then just destroy the corners. Just go through them much harder and faster. And here is where I made my move very cleanly. He went wide. I went on the very inside of the corner, not going out of bounds. Yes, once I got in front, like in most races, if it has a lot of turns in it, this car just it dominates the corners. It's quite impressive. But if I was to rate this car in the E-class, I don't know. High? Top tier? I'm not positive. Either way, I got a lot of races out of this car, and me and this guy were going back and forth. He'd win some, I'd win some. It was just it was a good time. So I don't know if anybody else knows anything about the E-class, but my knowledge of the E-class is zero. This is pretty much my first experiment into the E-class. And It was quite fun. So here on the last stretch, I was worried about him catching me on the straightaway, so I knew I had to make those last sectors as perfect as possible. And if I didn't make those sectors as perfect as possible, definitely was going to be in trouble when it came to this straightaway here. And I was so focused in this race, I didn't even realize this was a 2-lap race. I was thinking about the next corner. I was like, okay, he's going to catch me by the straight, but I'm going to lose him in the corner. But then the race finishes, so I'm like, okay, fair enough. So that's a pretty good time. I was pretty much an entire second in front of a Ford Cortina. Okay, it's not a bad car, and everybody else just kind of left in the dust. But the next race we have here, we're on Rio de Janeiro, and I got pole since I won the last race, and I had the fastest time. And here we are on the takeoff. All right, so this car doesn't launch as well as the other cars around me. I guess because of weight, I don't know. Like I said, you either build for handling or you build for acceleration. If you do a happy medium, I think it would still work out, but I think you have to have either or to really be dominant in these races. But coming into this first corner here, or second corner, the RX-3 is going to go off into the wall. I believe that's RX-3. I know it's a Mazda. Into this straightaway here where that Ford Cortina really makes up a lot of ground on me because it just accelerates so much faster. But since I handle so much better, I can take those corners way tighter, holding my average speed way longer than he could. But coming up to the hills, it seems like in E-Class, every hill you come up to is just terrible. It's horrible. It's just, there's not much you can do about it. He goes into the wall, going a little too fast or just braked a little too late. I almost braked a little too late there. But since it's a Miata, there's way nothing. The brakes were pretty efficient on that one. I usually tune for a car with best brakes, best suspension, best everything when it comes to the handling side of things. I don't think I was able to put slicks on this car. I think I was able to widen the back tire. That's about it. Didn't really think too much about power because I figured it was more about handling, which I was kind of right, but then kind of wrong when it comes to some races. Coming into this twisty section here, I'm not too familiar with it, so I kind of was late on the brakes here as he was pushing too hard, and I was pushing too hard also. I don't really like Rio, so I tend not to want to race Rio unless it's like a rivals thing or something. Then I could really learn it that way. But this last corner here, definitely taking it full pedal straight to that corner and this corner, which really allowed me to catch up to him. Because like I said, he has the acceleration, but he does not have the handling. So right on top of him, keeping the pressure on him. I'm going to go off to the side because I'm going to do a cutback on him. But he brakes late, and then he goes into the wall. And from there, the rest is history. I won that race quite dominantly with I think I was 2 seconds ahead. It was a lot, but this has been Jay Runer. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.